My friend, my name is Wago Howard. Each week on Monday, I talk about a new subject. For the last couple weeks, we've been doing how to play a melody. We write out notes on the stave. We see how they sound on an instrument of choice, and then we try to see these through the eyes of not making huge irrational jumps, leaps, or bounds, understanding what the circle fifths is, and how to create melodies which stay within the 7 diatonic notes. Now, later we'll go outside of that, but for today, we're going to talk about how to play any song. The same kind of concept. However, we're not going to go into too much of writing our own melodic movements today. We're just going to look how others do it. Now, the thing with the YouTubes is if you suggest something and I look it up on my broadcast here, chances are I might get a little monetization kick or cut. But the thing is, I am not monetized yet, so it doesn't really matter. I just don't want to get an infraction and have anything detrimental happen to the channel and build this music community. So, long story short, ask questions if you have them about your own music, figuring out why some chords don't work. Maybe you could throw a melody out there. This can be interactive if you post something on your own YouTube channel. I could go over and look at that, yada, yada. I've got about 35 minutes to 45 minutes before my first student comes today. And what I would like to do is just have you ask questions. If I can answer them, great. If not, I'll jot it down. I'll ask my teacher and I'll get back to you. But today, as always, we're just going to go through some commonalities. What is the circle of fifths? What song do we want to play? And how do we get to the point of understanding what that is? So, let's see here. And I hope everybody had a happy new year. If you did, great. If not, there's always room for change. Why not? So, I have a program called Chordy, onto which where I play something, we can do a little explanation about what these notes are and how they correlate with each other. And what I like to do is just be able to play a little song on any given instrument. I've got maybe like 10 or 11 instruments here that I play. So if you're looking at how to get fingerings and or you're looking for chordal knowledge, this is the place to be. If you have suggestions about what you'd like to see, put it in the comment section and we'll try and get to it today. Otherwise, we're just going to take a gander at any random old song, see if we can put it through. First thing I want to do when trying to figure out a song is, one, know what song it is. So I would say, let's see here, and let's go to our computer mirror. We're going to go over to the interwebs, hit the YouTube diddly-doos. And I guess a really good idea here is, how about like, what's a random band? A, B, how about B, Blues Traveler? As you can see, I was looking up some old stuff there. Oh, Blues Traveler, have fun. Hook, that's a good one. Run around. If I think I'm giving up on you, you're crazy. I'm not for tomorrow, still didn't care, but anyways. It's hard to believe this was 1997. So, just randomly. Oh, Howard Stern's birthday, nice. How about the mountains win again? Let's see what it looks like.
This is how to get in shape fast.
If you want to drop this,
Start eating more of these.
you might think this would take
But that is amazeballs. So what I just did here, hey, how you doing? Aloha, what is this? My name is Wago. I teach music in Hilo, Hawaii. I've got a very small following and I love music. So basically I get on and I show people how to do what I do. My superpower is I'm able to hear a song and know exactly what's going on within an instant from years and years of analysis. Long story short is I'm at my own level. You could be at yours. And if you're having questions about this and or you could show me a little something, let's do it. It's music community. What we're doing right here, we're taking a random tune. We chose Blues Travelers. The song I think is called Mountains Win Again. Figured out, I am dyslexic. Blues Traveler. So, figured out using the circle fifths and a piano that it's in the key of G. The way that we found that is the first chord that it strummed, it had a B in there. It was the first thing I smacked on the piano. I went over here and I hit this. And then this. And then the chord structure kind of just came out. All the notes that I'm ever going to need are within the key signature of G major. And there are a couple really cool things that happen here. So what I did was I figured out we're in the key of G major or its relative minor, E minor. The key signature itself has one sharp. That sharp is going to be F sharp. So whenever I play that F sharp, that's going to be my melodic pattern. And chances are the whole song is going to be with that. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, and G gives us a major scale. or more importantly, just an Ionian mode, meaning we're going to be able to do all sorts of nonsense as far as soloing from this, devise triads based off of tonal harmony of these dyads. So we're going to figure out what makes this song. I can tell you right here, after doing just quick analysis listening for the first time, one, I haven't heard this song in 25 years, I think. Two, music's music, so it's not too hard. Whether you're doing Handel or Mozart or Mendelssohn, this is always going to be the same kind of analysis. Key signature, time signature. As soon as the song started, the first thing that I noticed was the harmonica, the harp. Oh, cool. I'm glad you like it, man. This is cool. I enjoy doing this. I don't do editing on this channel. It's all stream of conscious, and sometimes I get a little wordy, so I put timestamps on all these that I can. So if you like this channel and you like what I'm doing here, go back to any of these live things, learn, but timestamp them for us. Throw it in the comment section. I hope they're right. I'm going to leave them up. I'll have my IT guy check that. Other than that, this is what's going on today. If you have questions about what you're doing, throw them in the comment section. We could do a quick delineage and then jump back. Try to stay goal-oriented, and throughout each one of these videos, have maybe 5, 6, 8, 10, 15 points which you might not have known about music theory. The aforementioned. If you don't know what a triad is, or the 3 notes that make up a chord, or the dyad that makes it a major minor, this is definitely the channel for you. Very free-flowing. Sometimes I get off tangent, but it always comes back circle, I swear. Sorry, I just thought of the orange guy. Never mind. Anywho, when going through here, what I want to do is set myself up for success. I put up my chord chart over here, which simply was a bunch of lines. I'm going to go back through this, and then I'm going to grab my eraser here. Looks like I'm using socks today. I'm going to separate these into individual measures. By doing this, I'm going to be able to count all these and then give them sections. Might not be able to get through the whole thing today, but it will be lots of fun. So the first thing we did was we saw the intro has a 4-bar marking, meaning in 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see that in your shorts. Yeah, I do love music and no editing. If I find myself making an error or I need a correction, I will go back and make that error correction. There's no no weirdness about that. I know what I know. I know that I don't know a lot of things as well. So take the I out of it. This is just music. And what I like to do is show a little bit about this music comprehension. So we could go to any instrument and play this. As again, the first thing that I noticed was the harmonica, which is wonderful. There was a revolving Leslie cone on it, which made it sound like the harmonica was going in and out like one of those old church organs. If you listen really carefully, you could hear it in the first couple things. The note pitch goes below and gives some dissonance, and then it pulls it back up. Very cool. The band's super tight. I noticed that the guitar player has that kind of one finger movement that Derek Trucks does, that kind of awesomeness of playing with your finger and not using a slide, but it sounds like a slide. That kind of thing the Allman Brothers does from the big jams. The verse, pretty standard. Does that over and over for the intro. All the notes that he's choosing are within here. The G major, so why not write that? In fact, let's write it up here. Now that we got this, the key we're in is G major. So what we're going to do is we're going to write the 7 diatonic notes that fall into G major. Our 1 chord is the G. Our minor 2, minor 3, Fa, the 5, 6, 7. The only one that's really weird is this one. I write these in lowercase to represent the minors and uppercase to represent the majors. And then the diminished, because it is a minor 3rd dyad, which hypothetically would make the whole triad minor triad, we just have a flat 5 as well. So 1 3 5, 1 flat 3 flat, 1 flat 3 5, 1 flat 3 5, 1 3 5, 1 3 5, 1 flat 3 5, and 1 flat 3 5 with a flat 3. That's going to give us our minor triad, but it's going to then make it a diminished. And if you've never seen this concept before, all music is based off of 4 types of chords. 1, major. When we flatten that mediant, we get a minor. When we flatten that dominant, we get a diminished chord. And if we were to do nothing to that except for raise the 5th, the dominant, we would have something called an augmented. It gives us this lending or leading tone moving through triads and tritones and all sorts of other stuff. Basically meaning the notes that you choose are corresponding to other possible frequencies. When you play them in order, they devise into something called a consonant, a very pleasing tone. When you hear something like this, that is a dissonant. It feels awkward. It has a built-in tension that can be relieved by either going up a half step or down a half step. almost all of the tension in the song wants to go from the 1 to the 5 or the 4, and then somewhere else, and then make it all the way back to the 1. That's how music works. It's called tertiary harmony, and it's great to see these triads. G, B, and D is going to be our first triad, so when we play the chord of G major, no matter what instrument we're doing it on, it will have a 1, 3, and a 5, representing a root note, the G, the major third, which is the B, and then the fifth, which is the D. So all of those notes, when we perform them, will have a triad based off of their scale position. This is the fundamental basis of all music theory. Since we have this over here and we know that it's going to be a ballad, it's a rock and roll ballad, which means it kind of has the same criterion that you would hear from most ballads. A ballad is a slower piece of music generally, which is an equal temperament, that allows the listener to focus on a couple different sections, and because we come from the rock and roll era, the ballads generally hold a C section that has like a different feeling than our A section and our B section. Now, most of what we hear in common music that's on the radio, like doo-wop, rap, country, it all comes from these types of things called cadences. Different types of cadences happen to work in different ways. Like one that uses something called a backdoor resolution is called a deceptive cadence and a backdoor resolution. In the key of G, we could have F sharp diminished is the chord inside G major that resolves back to G. But if we don't play an F sharp, we play a F major, it still does the job. It just has a little bit of different pull towards where those notes want to go. So, long story short, backdoor resolutions are a great way to see how to use the flat 7 rather than the major 7. What did I just do? Rather in the key of G using the F sharp diminished, we used the note in between the major 6 and the major 7. We used either the flat 7, the minor 7, or we use the augmented 6. In this case, it's not using the F sharp. We're going to still call it by name, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. That gives us a flat 7. Otherwise, we would just view it as this. Flat 5, 6, 7. So, knowing we can do this, this is our chord construction. Out of here, we know it's a ballad, that it's in 4/4, and it's Blues Traveler. And then here we go. All the chords are going to be G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F sharp, C, E, G, D, F sharp, A. We have E, G, B, and then lastly F sharp, A, and C. When we do this, this gives us a spelling for all of our chords. This is going to be our G major. This is our A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and then F sharp diminished, represented by these symbols. That is the foundation. So that's what an augmented is. Yeah, the next time you're playing a song and they call for a chord that is called a 7 chord. So if you're playing in the key of G major and you're doing something like what you'll notice is on that last chord, G major to F major, if you go to a C major and you add the dominant 7th, not the major 7th, what you've done is you've given a C major and E diminished. The combination of these two triads gives you an extended chord, which is called a secondary dominant, or a 5 dominant, or a 5/7 chord. So, in any key, if you ever play a chord that says like G7, F7, B flat 7, those chords are feeling like their own diminished chords. So in the key of G major, when I play a C7, it feels like a B diminished, which is gonna, or not a B diminished, like a, yeah, I guess like a G7, B diminished. Feels like it wants to go back into that chord. So this chord, C7, is the 5 of the key of F. And listen to how it feels when it goes into the F. It feels great, like a D7. D7 wants to go to G. When we play an E diminished, That essentially is a C major plus an E diminished, and that gives us the tone that wants to go to our F major. So, hey, thanks for hanging out today. The long story short, if you're ever playing a song and it has a 5 dominant or a 7 chord in there, try and take any key, any chord, or triad and sharpen the 5th and see how that augmented chord changes the feeling of what you're shooting for. Right on. Well, check out the channel when you get a chance. It was nice chatting and talking story with you. Have a great day. Aloha. So, going back to what we were doing, these are all of our chords for the song. When we get through it, I'm going to grab, I don't know, just here. So we have a G to a C, then to a D. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason why I wrote this little parenthesis with 2 bars in the middle, it means to repeat everything that came before it. What we just saw here was a G. 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, D, 2. That is going to be the feeling of our intro. So we're going to mark it as such. And having a intro right here, I'm going to box it off. And of course, because we're in the key of G, I'm just going to put 1 sharp right here to let myself know that we're playing in the key of G always. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. I think it does it twice, but I'd have to listen to it again. I definitely know that it should. So we're going to put a repeat here and go for 4 measures because it has a 2-bar intro. And then the harmonica does a little intro fill. And then it goes into the A part. Since this is the A, I'm going to write an A and put a block. The verse, the A part, before it goes to the B part, which is the binary, we use this section the same. So I'm just going to put the same notation. And because this is the end of a measure or a concept, I'm going to put a double bar, meaning that's its own thing. And then I'm going to start our next A section, the verse, with a double bar to let the person who's reading this know that this song is going to have the beginning of the song. Cool? After we do that, we're going to repeat this because that's what the song does. We're going to do this. I think we did it 8 times. So since we did this, I'm going to throw that there. Put a double bar here. Put my repeat symbol, my double dots. And then I'm going to put down here, I think it did it 8 times. And then it goes to the B section, which is the chorus. Ooh. Something, something. Let's go over to the piano. We've got. Stays on the 5, back to the 4, goes to the 5 again, goes back to the 4, 5, back to the 4. I'm pretty sure that's the way it grooves. So we're going to throw that out there. So we're going to hold out on the 5 chord. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, 4. And since it takes the whole measure, I'm not going to put it at the end there. Ah, geez, dirty fingers. I'm going to put it right in the middle, smack dab, 5-a-roo right here. And then it goes down to the 4, goes right back to the 5. Now again, these both repeat. So I'm going to do it again, throw in this so I don't have to keep writing. But the interesting thing about this song, it goes... holds out that C. Right here, I put a little fermata, just so I know that it can be held out. And if you don't know what a fermata is, it looks like a little bird's eye. It's got a little whoop above a dot. I'll draw it big so you can see it. I'm also going to move this in. Ta-da, looks like that. And that allows us to hold a note for a little bit longer than our designated time of the 4/4. Pretty cool. All right, after it does that, we don't need these other two measures. I'm going to get rid of them. Right here is the end of this measure. It does not repeat this, but it does go back up to have a groove. Now right here, I could rewrite the whole thing, or I could put D, C, coda. What that means is go directly up to the cabo, up to the top, the head, and then work all the way back through the song. Sometimes you'll see something that says like DS al first ending, or DS al coda, or DL something. That means dal segno. Dal segno means the sign. That means when you see this, you would go all the way back to the point where you saw that sign. The sign being something that looks like this, it has these dots. When you see this, you're gonna go, oh, that thing looks weird. That is a del segno. We'll talk about that in another, I'll be the one with the funny long username. That's really great. Thanks for being here today. After I do this, I'm going to go up to the top, play this intro again. It's a little jam section, goes through another verse. So here we are. We've got our A, our verse. We've got our chorus. This is the pre-verse, which is this part right here. And then it goes into, actually the pre-verse is part of the chorus. There's no need to put that. It just goes back to the top here. That's what that intro thing was. So we could even put an intro thing right here. But it's the same. Go through it the second time. It goes through, and rather than moving anywhere else, if we put DCL first ending, I could have put a 1 right here and a 2 right here, so it would have gone all the way through here and skipped that first one and gone down. But there's no need to do that for this because the song actually repeats in form perfectly. After it does the B section here, it goes to something called the C section. Now, this is a form adapted from what we were talking about, sonata form. In sonata form, there are many, many different cadences that allow us to visualize what a phrase is and then what a period is. So in this song, the phrase, if I were to put a grand staff, meaning the lines of music, and put this in the key, all the notation here, I would have put some sort of marking like that over all the notes. That would have been the first mark. That's called a phrase. That phrase, along with the second phrase, little bit different. The tweak, the note goes up rather than going down. It's a very subtle change, but it allows the listener to know that this is the intro. It's going to be pleasing from this point and thereforth. When taking those notes and going through that and seeing it on the grand staff and putting those, and we've got periods and phrases, everything that would be contained within this treble clef or bass clef, or even the next grouping of 5 notes, right, would have feeling where this whole thing would be considered one period. Meaning, if you have something like ha da 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 da, it's like the music is asking a question, and then the next part should have something along the lines of ha da 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 ha da 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 da, like a response to that. You'll find it in nature, so therefore our music also represents that inside of things we like to hear. And next time you're doing a little bit of listen on what your favorite music is, you will also notice this 9 times out of 10. So where we are is we found out the verse, chorus. We know that go back all the way to the top. We're doing our verse and chorus again. Our C section here is started a little bit before 2, and I would have to take a gander and listen to it again, and I generally don't like going back to listen to these more than once, but I think I'm gonna. So here we go. Oh, wait a minute. My bad. You want to see it with me? Here we go.
This time in
So this is called a modulation. Now, generally when we're doing these things, hey, Rachel Howard, how are you doing? We're talking about how to chart out a song, how to play any song. The song we chose today was Blues Traveler. Mountains Win again. This one's in the key of G, and when going through it, the concept that we're trying to show here is all the different notes that we're going to be using for this song are going to be from the G major scale. All the triads that are devised from that, we can see from the circle fifths and then writing out the key. So if you ever get lost on how to play it on a piano or a guitar or an ukulele, you can just skip a note and find your triads. They move over. The weirder ones are the diminished, which has a 1, flat 3, and a flat 5. Otherwise, you will have a major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Here are all the chords and spelling, and that's what goes through form. So we could do the intro to the song, we could play the verse, we could do the chorus, we could go all the way up, try that again, and now we're talking about this part right here, which is a little past the 2 section, goes all the way to 259. Notice how when I chart the beginning by ear, I write down a little quick note in case I want to go back as far as the time signature or the timing of this. You could also see this as being a pulse of how many beats per minute. So generally our heart beats at around 60 to 65 beats. Rock and roll is like 120. So I feel like this one's right around 70 beats per measure. Another really grand thing we could do is up here is put 70 BPM. And that allows the person not only to know the time signature, key signature, but to know the metric pulse of this. Not being too fast and not being too slow. This song could have been played faster and could have been played slower by a band, but what is chosen to be on the LP and or played live, it's up to the band, and that's where they feel comfortable playing the parts over the top of it. So you don't have to play fast to have great written stuff. Here we go. For the C part, it does a quick modulation. Now this whole thing is in the key of G, so I don't want to write. You can go inside of here in any music that you're playing, and if you're writing it on staff paper, regardless of what key you're in. We were in the key of G, so when we change that to another key, I put a double beam, just like closing or starting another passage, and from there, I put in the key signature of A major. That's one way to do it, and then you would be using the key of A major there, but that's a very difficult way to do it charts. So for charts, what I find is the best thing is just keep the key signature and then alter the Roman numeral analysis. What does that mean? Well, when we're playing this song, we've got this feeling of, oh, won't let it rain on, the mountains win again. It then goes from our C major into an A major, doing a complete key shift, a modulation. Now, by doing this, what we've done is we've gone up in tone from the C natural to the A. Now, that is something called a major 6. The chord that is supposed to be in the key of G major is the minor A. So it's not a lowercase I for the A. I'm going to write that AA, or that uppercase 2, and that there tells me that now my A minor is turned into an A major. Simply said, you could even write A major right above it in parentheses if you want to remember. Or what I like to do is if I have a key shift, I just put 3 sharps right next to my measure. That allows myself and or anybody reading it to look at that and go, oh, okay, yeah, I see. This is in the key of G, this goes to the key of A. This A lasts for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes to E major. Please notice that the relative minor of the key of G major is an E minor, E, G, B. There is no G sharp in the key of G. Therefore, part of the modulation, we would make this minor 6, for the name of one of the 7 notes, into a capital V and a capital I, thusly giving us our 6. Are we hypothetically going from a major 2 to a major 6? Yeah. Are we in the key of A also doing a 1, A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C sharp, D, E? Are we doing it all the way to 1, 5? Yeah. View it any way you want to, but when you're reading it this way. The next thing we do is we realize that it goes back and forth the same way that the chorus did. We had D to C, D to C, D to C. Well, now we've got A to E, A to E, A to E. We're going to play an F sharp major, A major, and a D major. That's our closing sequence for this. So what we want to do is represent this as being something we repeat because we did it 3 times. We're not going to put another repeat here because it feels a little redundant to do that. This is just to save mental bandwidth so you're not reading a lot of stuff at the same time. And then after doing it 3 times, the last time we're going to go to the F sharp major. Now, F sharp isn't in here as a major, it's in there as a diminished. So what we're going to need to do is replace that with our 7 major, so capital letters, and then the bars up top. There's our F sharp, and then we're going to play an A. Do they all have equal temperament? Well, let's go see. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 3, 4. So they do have equal temperament, but the last one's going to last twice as long. So we go from our A major, E major, F sharp major, our A major, and then this last one that we're doing, notice that the D major is in the key of G. Yes, hypothetically, you could say we have modulated back, but I don't like to break up my measures because I know that the key of A major has a D anyways. I'm just going to act like we're still in the key of A major, and we're going to throw up our quarter here. So we've got our D, here's our 5. You can put a single parentheses, not with a double beam, but with a single, and that means to repeat only the measure before, not what came before it. However, when I'm using it for the last measure in a phrase, I don't want to do that. I want to just write it as my note. So here we go. Here's our 5. And then it returns all the way back to the top for our outro and does the whole thing again. We just got done with this, find ourselves back at the intro, which is also called the jam, does another verse, does another chorus, and then does an outro. So, looky here, we've got 9:41. I'm going to go ahead and plot this on our chart, get the camera a little closer so you can read it and maybe take a picture if you like the song and you want to play it. Then I'm going to go over there on the guitar, maybe try and play it. Again, since this is the beginning of a new section, there's where my double beam is. There's the end of the section. Another thing you can do is you can probably put more space in between each one of these sections so it's clear that there's a gap, but you don't have to if you know how to utilize this concept. So writing our 5 chord out, we're going to put a double beam. Since it's the end and we're not going to be redoing this or playing it through to the end of it, we're going to go all the way up top. We're going to need another return to the top. Now here's where it's interesting. We're going to be doing an outro, so I don't want to go all the way through here again. So we're going to put DC al coda, okay? Or how about we put dal signo to coda. So DS AL CODA. So here we go, DS al coda. I'm going to put the DS up here, direct sign, there it is. And we're going to go from here, once we get done with this measure, all the way to here, follow this all the way through until we see the DC, or see the coda. I'm going to put the coda in a different place. I'm going to put the fermata right above the note here, and I'm going to put my coda right here. The coda looks like a cross or a plus with a circle in it, and the points extend further. I hope this makes sense. Going through the whole song, we're going to go back up to the top. Go through it again for the second verse, second chorus, and then after that, rather than going up again, we go through and we play the C part, which is the modulation into the A to E, A to E, A to E, hold out a blaring F sharp major, blaring A major, and then a blaring D, which repeats twice to hold emphasis, and then it returns back to the top, and then we're going to follow this through the jam. We're going to follow this through another verse, another chorus, and after this, we're going to take this marking to follow all the way down to the D. The D is going to get its own block because it's a new segment. We're going to put a double line right here, and we're going to follow this out. Now, I don't remember what this sounds like, so I'm going to have to go back again. Now, if you could listen to a song one time and chart out 50% of it, that's pretty good. That means you're not wasting 25, 35 minutes on this. I know that I have with the gift of gab. However, if you can take 3 or 4 songs a day that you like and chart them, and then after 6 or so months start charting out the melody on staff paper, I guarantee you within a year you'll be able to sight read, you will understand your circle fifths, you will know how to play a multitude of different songs, and when you learn how to play something, you will also learn how to play something else. That's how it works. So whether you're working on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with one finger, or you want to move to Bach or Beethoven or Fur-Elise or something beautiful that you've heard and you just want to express yourself on your instrument with. Let's see here, the last one, we got to go back to the cutting board. Let's check it out. Let me mirror this and then listen to the last. Did I write down my, I didn't. Since we're at the 2 mark, 2:59, I'll see how long the song is, and because it's the outro, it'll probably be in the last 30 seconds. That's where my brain goes. It feels as if it's going from the C to the B to the B flat. So it's walking down in minor seconds. Let's see how it feels like tertiarily. And if it ends on a C, I think that's it. Give me a quick second. Yeah, that was it. So check it out. The last thing that I did there was I found the chord of C major. I worked through all the different variations. C, B, B flat, could have been C major, B major, B flat major. But it didn't feel that happy. It wasn't minor to a major. Or it could have been. I feel like it's C major, B minor, B flat minor, and then G. So that's what we're gonna stay with. We're gonna run to the end. One, little tempo change here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I'm gonna put down here at the D is I'm gonna put ad librium, and then maybe rubato or decrescendo or decelerando. All these mean to kind of play what you want at the end, to go out, have your own feeling on it for the instrument. Decrescendo, get a little quieter, and then decelerando. When you accelerate, you're going faster. So the opposite to go faster, accelerando, is the opposite, decelerando. When we're doing this, I'm just going to write out our notation in all form in one big measure because it feels as if it's going 1, 2, 3, has a big old fermata, and then it ends right here. So I'm going to put F-I-N-E, fine, put a double bar, and more importantly, I'm going to put this double bar being super dark because the darker the bar is, it lets the listener know, or the reader, that we are at the end of the song. By doing this, it allows us to see our last notes being a C major, which is our, in the key of G, our 4 chord. It then goes down to our B minor, which is our 3 chord. And then it has a B flat. So we're going to write our 3 as a 3, but we're going to put a little flat right before that 3. So we know we're not playing a B minor. We are playing a B flat minor. And then the last chord of the song is going to be the 1. Ta-da! That is how you successfully chart out a song. If I was in a practice and somebody's like, I would love to play this song and here's what it looks like and here's what it sounds like, I would take this concept, I would chart it, I would listen to it really quick, chart it out, and hand it to everybody. I use a program called Dorcio, and then a Finale, and then a great way to get into this is to try a program called iReal Pro. My wife can attest that I've probably spent over 500 hours, I guess, in the last year or 3 years, writing a couple thousand songs on that program. It's fun for writing. It's good for chord analyzation, but iReal Pro is actually meant for practicing, so that's what I do a lot of there. I'll put in a chord chart quite like this, and I'll play through the thing for 20, 30 minutes, and then every couple months I'll go back to it. That's how I get better at understanding jazz standards and stuff like that. Yeah, Dorco. I still know how to pronounce it. Dorco. I think so. Anywho, if you enjoyed this, please put a thumbs up in the comment section. I'm going to go here and show you what it kind of looks like on a guitar just by looking at the other thing here. Can I split the Diffie here? Yeah, I guess I can. Could play it on the ukulele. I don't know any of the words, but for those of you who are playing here and you like this song, maybe you could check it out. See what you think. Ooh, hopefully if I'm in tune. Let's see here. We have our G. Man, I can understand how much fun they had with this tune as well. Sometimes musicians don't like the slower ballads. I love ballads. Always reminds me of roller skating and holding hands. Anywho, the only real error I think that I made in this one was this. It shouldn't have been done 4 times. It should be an equal temperament with the intro. And remember, you don't have to do it as single phrases like this. You can write the whole thing out if that's how you'd like to look at it. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to disconnect the root of this and pull this a little closer so you can see this chart. Maybe one of these days I'll get the camera angle right. And this is what I do and put it on a chart. If you throw this on a chart, the reason why I put it with the Roman numerals, yeah, I bet you can. The reason why I do the Roman numerals is, let's say that you're playing this in a band situation, or you're doing this and you're like, you can't hit the John Popper notes. Yeah, and it looks like rain. So silly, stupid high. And unless you're used to singing that high, it's a challenge. So we would modulate. If this wasn't in the key of G major, what can we do? Well, you don't have to rearrange or change any of your chart if you just change the key signature. So let's say we were doing this not in the key of G, but we put it in, let's go down lower in pitch. We were in the key of G. Let's do it in the key of D. So if we were in the key of D, and there's 2 sharps now, and we were in the key of G, and we went to the key of A, we're now in the key of D. Well, we're going to go to the key of E. So E has 4 sharps. When we do this, we're going to be writing out all these 4 sharps. There you go. Now we have D major and then E major. So looking at this, we could go to the instrument of choice when we play. Oh, did I unplug it? No, I didn't. When we're going through here, rather than having this, we're now in the key of D. So we have D major. D walks up with the F sharp, plays the A and back to G to the A. So our progression is still going to be a 1 chord. It's still going to go to the 4 chord, and it's still going to go to the 5 chord, but now the chords are not G, C, and D. Our chords are going to be D, G, and A. When we go to the chorus is going to hang on A. Oh, looks like rain, the mountains will again. That to me is the best way that you can know how to use your circle of fifths. Be able to modulate in any key and play the same thing. So the aforementioned Twinkle Twinkle, start small. Don't try and conquer like, the 1812 overture in modulations. Play Twinkle Twinkle in C, and then try to move it to D, and then move it to E, and then A, and then B flat. And by the time you can play Twinkle Twinkle in every key, I'm sure you will see similarities between different keys, different songs. I hope any of what I talked about today made a little bit of sense. If it does, put a comment in the comment section, maybe subscribe and put something fun in there. And if you are a go-getter, why not timestamp any of these live portions that haven't been timestamped yet? What you do is you put in colon, like if you put 2:00 and put a comment, it will put a little blue mark on there saying at 2 minutes in this video, there will be something cool. Well, if you do the whole video, somebody else could be spared the time of listening to me jibba-jab about nonsense. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, subscribe, put something cool in the comment section, and I hope that you will ask questions on one of these Mondays or Tuesdays. If you have time to do something like this, come and hang out with me on Tuesdays and ask questions. Tuesdays more like music theory stuff. I sit around and do chord analyzation over different concepts. This is one of them, but there are a multitude of different things. If you like the way that I present things, check out this channel in the playlist, which I've tried to put all the playlists together so they're live, and then separate all the thousands of videos that we've done on here. And again, if you have questions, ask them. If I don't know the answer, I will ask my teacher, and I'll get back to you. Aloha. Thank you, and have a great day.